Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the No Mustard Podcast. This podcast is brought to you from the purchase of my magazines and art by viewers like you. You can learn more about my work or join the Fast Food Legend newsletter by visiting fastfoodlegend.com. I'd like to introduce my guest this week, JP Lambiase, best known as the co-creator of the fast food-themed YouTube channel Healthy Junk Food. A pioneering YouTuber, JP helped grow the channel into a profitable business with more than 3 million subscribers. After relocating the studio from upstate New York to Orlando, Florida, the partnership came to an end, leading JP to pursue a new path as a vlogger, documenting his transition into stand-up comedy, while his former partner continued running Healthy Junk Food. Welcome, JP. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Love the intro.
Thanks. So let's talk about Orlando. Did you move there specifically because per capita it was the fast food capital of the country?
No, not at all.
How did you make that decision to move there then?
Um, we moved there because my friend Carmen Balone, he's been my childhood friend since 9 years old. He's been doing stand-up comedy since 2003. And he's like, you got to come out here. I'll get you on rooms. I met Julia at open mic. So I was doing stand-up comedy before the channel. That was like, once you get a taste of comedy, that's what you want to do. So I was able to kind of like mesh comedy with the food channel, which kind of fulfilled my desire for satire and humor, that let me kind of just put stand-up on the back burner.
I see. So it was just serendipitous that you moved to the fast food capital of the country.
I didn't even know it was the fast food cat. I mean, I get it. Like, there's everything here, but it was definitely serendipitous. I love how Orlando really is, though. Like, you got like they don't have In-N-Out here, okay?
No.
They don't have In-N-Out, but they do have a lot of stuff. They even have a
No,
Jollibee.
like per capita, it's not a joke. Per capita, it literally is the fast
Oh,
food epicenter of the
I'm
country.
running the Rolodex of fast food chains in my head, and you're right. I have them all at my disposal. The largest White Castle, Portillo's. I love it. I love
All
it
right.
all.
So we're going to take a little tour of Orlando, and I'm going to show you some landmarks throughout the city. And as we go around the city, I'd like you to tell me any memories you have there, any information
Sure.
you think somebody should know. It's very free thought. Like I said, almost like a therapy session as we drive around Orlando, okay?
Okay, I love
And
it.
okay, so let's start in this neighborhood. I'm assuming I did a little research of where healthy junk food kind of fizzled out, and I got the sense that this general area was where you filmed a lot on the map. Is that correct?
Yeah, like you're showing me Orlando, right? And I see like a little KFC in the
Yes, that's right. In the
yeah,
lower
and
right-hand corner.
yeah, yep, yep.
Was that kind of the neighborhood where you did most of your filming?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, East Colonial, that whole strip is where we were doing the most, but at the tail end, we were down in Lake Nona area, and so that's southeast of the airport.
Okay. So let me start with the first location I'd like
Sure.
to show you here. This is going to be 6041 South Goldenrod, and it's a KFC. What can you tell me about it?
Um, well, I can tell you it's not a combo. I can also tell you that that's relatively new looking. Um, I love the striped bucket back accent. Um, but Goldenrod, I don't really hang around Goldenrod too much. I was mostly on East Colonial. When you were gonna go to if we're gonna go to a fast food place, it's gonna be the closest one to where we live, and that's just for obvious reasons, unless there's something very particular about the location that would draw us to go further.
Let's have a look at the next location.
Oh my God, your voice is so calming. You sound like when I go to the eye doctor and you're like, "Is this one clear?" Or this one? This one? Or
Well,
this
let's
one?
let's see if your eye is clear on this one. I'm
Okay.
in the northwest area here. Can you see the pin that we've dropped here? Lockhart
Um,
area, Rosemont, it says.
yep. Definitely don't ever go there.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at our location here, which is going to be 5808 Cinder Lane Parkway, and it's a
Oh,
KFC.
that's a nice one.
Any thoughts about this one?
Are these like the highest rated KFCs on Google Maps?
No, I just kind of went in a circle and tried to look at a lot of different KFCs in Orlando because I figured, maybe you were doing a video and you'd have to go do the same thing as I've had to do in my work in the past, doing different retail checks for different art projects. So I figured at some point you had probably been to most of the KFCs in the area. And you please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, no. We yeah, like I think what we do is we would go to whatever location that was closest to where we live. And then there'd be several ideations that came from that. We would go to a KFC and we would, in the earlier years, we would go there and just see what's new on the menu. If there was something new on the menu, you'd either go and review it, we'd go try it out, we try to recreate it. I know when they had like finger looking good sauce and they had the new tenders came out. Um, I know that if I wanted to recreate the bowl or eat the whole menu, and honestly, we ate the whole menu in like New York, Saratoga Springs. So we would travel a lot and do stuff with family. We'd always get family involved because why not work with family? It makes it more fun. I remember on my, I think it was like it was like 2018. It was like my birthday, and we ate the whole menu there, and I shouted out my favorite YouTuber who's a movie reviewer, and I'm like, hey, we got an audience. I can get this guy to notice me. So I'm like, everyone, go to his channel and just like annoy him. And then he responded. And he goes, oh, I'm glad that you're a fan. If you're ever in Seattle, hit me up. So that was actually in a KFC video. But I have a lot of memories with KFC in general, as far as like not so much Orlando, but just like my relationship with it, like everything I've done with it, everything that I like about it. Um, which is obscure. Like, I'm a big fan of the pot pie. I don't know what your feelings are on the pot pie, but I'm a big famous bowl and pot pie guy. I like European food, believe it or not. I like just a bunch of crap thrown into like a bowl with like pastry and stuff. Like I'm all about that.
I'm
I
sure you went to the original location in Kentucky. I didn't double
No,
check.
we never did that. We did
Really?
a lot of the old, yeah, we did a lot of the oldest of a lot of places, but it's funny you pick KFC. There's, we're yeah, we didn't. We did um Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell. It wasn't even the oldest, but the oldest that we could do. McDonald's, which again wasn't the oldest. Like there's a lot of history there, but we did for Taco Bell, there's one in like Laguna Beach, which is like still running. That's the oldest running, but then we found like the original building on cinder blocks, and we just kind of just tried to film. It was all like wrapped up, but I crawled underneath and actually got footage of the inside of the original Taco Bell. We went to the original Starbucks in Seattle, but no, we never hit up the KFC. It's funny how like which you do a lot in fast food. It's interesting that you probably know which locations are going to get more views than other locations. Not locations, but QSR brands. Like certain brands will just get more views than
Yes.
other
Yes.
QSR brands.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I wonder too, when you were really in the thick of this, did you take the time and read any of the books like the Colonel Sanders autobiography or the Glenn Bell story, Taco Titan, or any of that kind of stuff?
Like, not that I wouldn't read the books. I'm big on like watching YouTube documentaries and people that do that sort of stuff. Yeah, we do a lot of, we do a lot of research before we go to these places. For example, with Chick-fil-A, just Truett Cathy, he's the founder of Chick-fil-A. He passed away his last restaurant was this Hawaiian thing. He really wanted to do like Hawaiian food. It was awful. Unfortunately, I went there. It was because I've also been to Hawaii, and it was just like I was like, man, if you could Olive Garden Italian food, you did that with Hawaiian food. It was it wasn't good. I wonder what the ratings are, but it was not good. But yeah, we went there. We toured his like office and corporate headquarters. Um, I guess he's a fan of Batman too. So he's got like a Batmobile. He's got the Batmobile in his, and yeah, he was, again, we all know about, he's very religious. He's in the people business, not the food business, which obviously translates. So yeah, I learned a lot about that. Taco Bell, not so much. I just know that Glenn Bell is the founder, and he found a gap in the market, with doing the quick service tacos. I think he did try some burgers and other stuff, but it just wasn't as. I think he kind of like narrowed his focus down to just a simple menu. I think it was like 8 items or something that originated on the Taco Bell.
I'm not
Are
gonna.
you an expert and are you an expert? Like, do you go to like several of the same QSR and you have like pins all over your map and stuff like that? And
So I don't have pins over the map. The fast food legend really happened by accident. I have an arts background, obviously, and you have an engineering background, just two very different things. And so I saw the medium of fast food as just another medium to work with, like you might work with paint or sculpture or, clay or whatever. So for me, I was coming into it almost like an alien from another planet and saying, what is this? Why does it work this way? How does it. And so that's why I did read all the books. And I visited a lot of the places that you mentioned as well. So I know, like in Irvine in the parking lot, I've been to the Meatla Cafe that Glenn Bell stole the whole idea from. I've been to the El Tacos that was Taco Bell's, his chain before Taco Bell. I've been through all those kind of things, just trying to understand it better, because
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
it to me was very foreign. Um, anyway, one question I'd really like to ask you about, maybe about this KFC that we're looking at, might stir up some memories. You notice it has a vinyl banner of the Colonel and not an actual sign for some reason. Um, when I started changing the format of Fast Food Legend to make it a more intellectual content, and it started taking off on Instagram, I'd start to get some of the fans who were like fast food fans, and they would leave these really stupid comments. One, I can always tell something's gone wrong when somebody just writes burger as a comment, usually misspelled. And so I
Mhm.
very aggressively started fighting with my own followers and saying, why would you write that? What does that have to do with the content of the video? And just trying to get rid of people to kind of cull the more intellectual audience, the more interested audience, and make sure that my fans fit my narrative, right? And that's not a normal thing that people do. Most people are just happy to have any eyeballs on their content.
Yeah.
But as I've learned, the fast food people can be like really, really stupid. And I have to assume that a big portion of the fans you got at some point. I mean, obviously, if you have an engineering degree, you're an intelligent person. How did you handle the volume of viewers who just were, it was eyeballs, but it wasn't really the eyeballs you necessarily wanted?
That's an interesting question. I really hate to like disagree with you, but I genuinely didn't didn't have anything going but just utter satisfaction and gratefulness throughout the entire process. I never once got really annoyed or triggered. It's very hard to do that for me. In the world of comedy, I just, nothing, you can't hurt me. And like, even today, Julia, I think, is trying to hurt me. I'm like, I'm like Captain America. I'm like, I can do this all day. You can
It's
call me
not
whatever you
it's not
want.
about
You
feeling
can,
hurt. It's not about feeling hurt. I don't feel hurt. I don't want you to misunderstand that, and you're more than welcome to disagree
Well,
with
I'm
me,
not
please.
bothered.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, you would spend, I'm guessing 3 to 7 days on a good video, and then
Yeah.
you put it up there, and you're proud of your work, and somebody
Hmm.
just writes, "You know what I would do?" Didn't bother you at
Doesn't,
all.
no,
Okay,
doesn't bother me. I think what
okay.
bothers me is when people say you're painfully unfunny. This guy's cringe. Um, the, just, just stuff like, yeah, just like you're not funny, like you're cringe. Oh, you ran out of ideas, or you're, you guys have lost your way. I used to like you. You've changed. Stuff like that. That stuff can hurt, or not even just hurt, but that's stuff that. But no, if someone writes something that's ignorant, it doesn't bother me. If someone writes something that's like completely bonkers, they're completely delusional, they're not self-aware, they're out of their minds, that doesn't bother me because that's just that's just product of circumstance, you know what I mean? You got it's just like a pie chart, you know what I mean? If you have a pie chart on like your audience, you're gonna have a little percent that's gonna be like crazy. They're gonna have a big percent. They're gonna be super fans. They're gonna be a bunch that are just gonna be kind of some even indifferent, some just, there's just a range. And honestly, the world kind of works in that way anyway. You have it's like a bell curve, a Taco Bell curve. No, but it's just like and so I'm not surprised by it. You know what I mean? I was never surprised and be like, what's wrong with humanity? Because it's not humanity. It's really just what you're hyper focused on. So if you focus on that, then you start to maybe think that, oh my God, this is everybody. And I played victim to thinking that so many people are this way, or like, oh, it's 2026, everyone's woke, or everyone's transitioning, or everyone has pronouns. And the reality is they don't. You walk around, it's rare. It's rare. It still is rare. It's just brought to our attention more. And the more that you highlight that, the more you're going to see it, and the more it'll be, just like anything. Right now, if I told you, focus on feeling your elbow, you'll start to feel it. You'll start to feel like the wind brushing against it, or like maybe just like a little tingle because you're focused on it. Same with a bunch of a noisy room. If you focus on one conversation, you can hear them talking. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Let's have a look at another KFC. South Kirkman. Look at this one. Orlando has some of the best landscaping in fast food restaurant parking lots, don't you think?
You know what? You're making me really start to be observant in a way I've never been observant before. And I would agree. I think that it being kind of like I feel like Orlando's like sandbox mode in a video game,
Oh,
and they have
definitely.
so much real estate. They just kind of be like, we can do this.
Well, in the
And you're
old days, it
right.
was in the 80s and 90s, it was fountains. All over Orlando was fountains. Everywhere, fountains. And I think, whatever changed in the cost of water or maintenance or whatever, and now it's landscaping.
Interesting.
Let's talk a little bit about when um, the algorithms started to change and YouTube started playing around, and your success, the numbers you had started to come down a little bit. I remember maybe at the time or shortly thereafter hearing you talk about, you really foresaw that that was happening. You were very aware of it. And again, having your background in engineering, you must have started thinking about it a lot. Um, how you were going to either manipulate it back in your favor, or maybe you could see that it wasn't going to work in your favor. Tell me about that time and that thought process a little bit.
I think for the most part, like generally speaking, I always wanted to keep evolving and changing regardless of the algorithm. So I do think that did help as far as like keep things fresh. I'm not sure that um it mattered, but I needed to do it for myself. I can't do the same thing over and over for too long because I will not enjoy it anymore. So I think one of the things that, if we can walk through the evolution of what we started, was the cooking. Originally, it was no one was doing this. I wanted to know what the calories were when I ate food. I wanted to know what I was cooking at home and how much it would be. I was counting calories. We were going through a stage where like our metabolism's slowing down, we're getting older, and I literally just was doing it for weight loss. I just wanted to, and no one was doing that. So I got on, the MyFitnessPal app, which has been around forever now, but it was new when I got it. And it was really just making recipes that were low or not even low calorie. You just knew how many calories there were. I would input it all manually. Then it evolved into recreating the fast food, which was great because that was an organic pivot because I I know a tremendous amount about fast food. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fast food legend, but I know a lot about it. I ate a lot of it. And then that was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole library of that. We got to get through all that. And then once you get through all that, like, oh, okay, well now you don't have that anymore. So well, now what do you do? And then I saw like, the food reviewers. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. I want to try that. So I did that. So that ended up becoming a segment. And then we ended up adding blind taste tests, which was a lot of fun. And we did that for a bit. And then we ended up making food that was giant. And then I was like, oh, once you made giant food, you're like, oh, I could do the whole thing over again with giant food. And then when you start traveling, it's like, oh, now we can just do food reviews in every country. You know what I mean? So the idea is really what they were they were gateways to have tons and tons of content without having to worry too much about ideation. And really, at that point, all you need to worry about is execution. Because when you have tons of ideas, you don't have to bog your brain down with the idea, but you do have to bog your brain down with how do I deliver this in a creative, fun way that's gonna be different. So I spent more time scripting and editing than, really ideation. Um, so then we, dabbled into food science, which I love. You have the lab coats on and the little beakers. And then, and then I started to build stuff, and that's when I started to combine engineering with what I was doing. So I'd be building props and sets and all that stuff. So when you combine travel, reviews, food, recreations, reviewing during COVID, just like buying every single frozen pizza, every single mac and cheese. Once you do all that, it's like, I'm like, I hit a point where I'm like, what else is there to do? And then a stroke of, again, just happenstance, when TikTok was growing, I just stumbled upon it so organically, these food hacks, because I just did that as a kid. Every single place I went to, I was a broke college kid. I worked at those restaurants. I knew how to exploit the POS system. I knew how to exploit all of it. I would dig deep into those registers and find stuff that they didn't even remember they did, and I would find that button. I mean, I wouldn't tell like customers this. Like, why would I? But if I went on break, I would find these buttons where I'd be like, "Oh, add a chicken tender that was buried deep from 1980, and it's only 25 cents for the tender." So I would just put in, you know, I would find a way to get all this food cheaper. But that ended up that was wild. Like I was able to grow the TikTok to 1 million in under a year just on that concept alone. And then I took all of those videos that were on TikTok when shorts came out and I created a whole new channel. And then I had my friends schedule them all out. I paid them. I'm like, just go and sit and schedule all 500 of these videos out. Do 5 a day. Do one at 8:30, one at 12:30, one at 2:30, 4:30, 6:30, whatever. And he did. And within 2 months, that hit 100,000 subscribers. So I'm like, yeah, another play button. At that point, I'm like, this is like a cheat code. When the shorts came out, it ruined everything, though. That's my opinion. Like, I don't think it's like the algorithm. Yeah, it changes all the time. We adapted. which you have to do. You have to just listen to feedback, adapt, listen to your friends. And I'm telling you what, a lot of this job is all about networking and relationships. Like I got there through so many relationships, people that are more of the analytic junkies to those that are like the creative junkies. And you basically are this giant collaborative team. And if I didn't have that team with me, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have been as good as what we've been able to do. A lot of it was just each other helping each other out. So once the shorts came out, yeah, everything just kind of went to hell. And now that's a main source of people's entertainment is doom scrolling from the algorithm just suggesting them stuff. And I'll tell you how much it's changed. You can go to VidCon or you go to any places. I'm like, who you're here to see? They're like, I don't know. I mean, it used to be like, Jake Paul and PewDiePie and Rice Gum and Leafy and all these people, all these creators, they'd be going, but now you're like, oh, just like that one guy, the one guy that does you know what I mean? Like, you don't even know his name. No one knows people's name anymore. I don't know people's name. I even tell people like, who do you? Oh, these two guys, they do sketches. They're hilarious. What's their channel? No idea. You don't need to know it though, because when you're scrolling, it just gives it to you. You know what I mean? So like, I do think that's changed. The short stuff has changed so much. So long format really needs to, it's almost kind of diverted back to like traditional media. Like, at least for me, what I watch on YouTube is I watch people do retrospectives, movie reviews, I watch people do documentaries. And then I'm watching some of these things and I'm like, man, this whole thing's done in AI. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm just supporting AI now. But I'm like, but they are giving me information and I like consuming information. Um, but it just bothers me because I'm like, man, this whole thing's AI. Even the voiceover is AI, and here I am watching it. So it's just like, anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's how I handle the algorithm in a long answer.
That's an incredible answer. As you were telling the story, I do so many different things that I forget a lot quickly. And I was reminded of the early TikTok when I blew up on TikTok by accident. I was living down the street from the Arby's on Sunset, and I was going to do serious food, I was going to do food reviews. And Emma Chamberlain had made a video the day before, and she was at that Arby's, and I was trying to figure out where to start. And I was like, oh, I'll go to that Arby's from the Emma Chamberlain video. And, of course, at that point, I'm in my 40s, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm there trying to figure out fast food. I knew fast food hacks would be the thing. And when my TikTok blew up, I vividly remember a morning looking at healthy junk food joining TikTok and thinking, wow, that's weird. I've got way more followers than they do. And of
Oh
course, you
wow.
surpassed me quickly because I abandoned the channel for a long time. But I do remember that was funny. It was also funny going to the Alfred Coffee every morning and seeing all these kids in their 20s, whatever, who had, all these followers. And there was about a month or 2 months where I'd go and be like, I got more views than that guy did yesterday. I got more views. And nobody knew what my face looked like. So nobody, I just looked like some old guy in the corner. Like, why was he there? It was pretty entertaining time for me. I had forgotten about all of that. Let's have a look at one more KFC.
What made you drop off?
Of TikTok? Why did we stop doing TikTok?
Yeah.
Uh, each of my videos cost around $100-something to make. And as you know, you had to crank out back then, I think 15 videos a day. So it was
Well,
just
why did it cost so
impossible.
much?
The old videos that went viral were like me taking a hamburger. The first one that went viral was a Big Mac. And I opened the Big Mac. I recorded it in Downey, not at the old McDonald's, but the corporate owned one down the street.
Okay,
I opened the
Donnie
Big
and
Mac. I
Donnie.
added a packet of sauce from like every chain you can imagine. And I think the video limit at the time was 3 minutes. So it's 3 full minutes of me. And I edited it in the TikTok app, which was a huge pain in the ass. So it had that voiceover and it says, add a packet of Panda Express sweet and sour sauce, and then I'd pour it,
Oh, I think I
add a
saw
packet. Yeah, it
that.
was it
You're
was a
the
big
yeah.
big famous video,
Yeah, it
and
goes on forever, right?
forever. And then I had a Starbucks one, just same as you. Just ideation. You have the idea and you do it everywhere. And so I got monetized super fast. And the first couple months, it was like, no problem. It's paying for the videos. And then, as I'm sure you've been, well, no, you didn't have this problem, but most newer creators do have this problem. They start finding excuses to demonetize you. And so I wasn't making any money. I was spending a ton of money. And because I have a more traditional background, I knew how to get press, and I got a full page story in the LA Times all about my work and TikTok and everything. And it was supposed to come out on a Monday, or it came out on a Sunday, full page article in the Sunday LA Times, which was great. And then my apartment had a leak on the Monday, and I couldn't deal with anything. And I thought for sure, like, somebody would call and want to buy the story or work with me or something. And if they did, I never got that call. And that was 6 months leading up to that prep for that. So after that point, I was kind of like, I'm done with this for now. Now, obviously, Fast Food Legend has changed and gone through all kinds of things, and now it's more successful than it's ever been, but we're 5 years into it. So it's been a different journey than yours, which is why I'm so curious about your story. This KFC is interesting because it doesn't have the Colonel in the front. It doesn't have a KFC sign. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it is interesting. Maybe is there a KFC sign behind my chat here? No, there's nothing.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is Google. You pulled this from like Google Images and stuff like that.
Google Maps, yeah.
Google Maps.
Google Maps. So these are customer
So these,
photos.
yeah, yeah. So it might just be, they might just be mid renovation.
It's possible. When you were
Because
filming on location at these different places and you'd see people, like I have videos where I'm clearly old videos when I was doing the sauces where I am very clearly exploiting some of the crazy stuff going on in the restaurant behind me. But I have no doubt if you've spent this much time in this many fast food restaurants, you've seen a lot of crazy stuff. At any point, did that ever start to bother you? Like, we're sort of promoting fast food, but at the same time, I'm watching all this terrible stuff take place in the restaurant.
man, I don't know where. I mean, you gotta come to Orlando. It is nice here. Like, we're not going to Waffle House at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, well, actually, we did once. Um, and that was for a specific video, going there like drunk versus sober at Waffle House, going in the morning versus the night. But no, there's nothing in all of my years of there's not a fight, no nothing. I think the worst thing that ever happened was one of the one of the workers at White Castle was interested in what we were doing. She was an older lady, and she's like, "Don't mind me." And she just sat within like 2 chairs away from us in an empty restaurant while we did a review. And I remember Julia being like, "I can't do this." And I'm like, "I know." She's just staring, like just staring. And it was like it felt like I felt violated. I was like, and yeah, I just felt violent. It was so weird. That was early though, like 2016. Um, I think it's like a sport. Once you start doing enough of these, you're like, yeah, ain't nobody gonna bother me anymore. And it got to the point where we got kind of I guess more or less I got more clever with it because, like, with comedy you got to deal with hecklers, right? So we were filming at the Hard Rock in Miami, and we were getting paid to do this. This is a ad. So we had a budget. They flew us out there, and I'm like, this is for a customer. I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna get all the beauty shots. And here I am at this table, and these punks that were sitting like, I don't know, a few tables away were like, "Hey, dude, I got a salad. You want to film my salad?" And I looked at him. I'm like, "No, because you got a salad." I go, why would I film your salad? And And he looked at his salad and he's like, he was all like sad. I'm like, you want one of my burgers? One of these gorgeous gold flake like burgers? Like, but then they're like, no, really, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're doing we're contracted by Hard Rock to do this. I realize how ridiculous this is, but you know, it's kind of cool that we could say this is our job. And they're like, yeah, that is cool. So they're real human beings underneath it all. I was just, punching back.
Was that at the Anna Nicole Hard Rock?
Anna Nicole Hard Rock? I didn't know there was an Anna Nicole Hard Rock.
Is it the one in Hollywood, Florida by the airport?
No, this is like in the heart of Miami. It was by the water. It's in a
I
very
see.
touristy area.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
The one at in just north of there, in Hollywood, Florida, is where Anna Nicole Smith died of an overdose.
Oh,
And so a
jeez.
lot of people
Okay.
go there for that
They did it.
reason. I
Oh,
lost you
nice. They
there for a
dedicated
second.
it. They
So
dedicated it for her.
this one's interesting. They didn't dedicate it for her. This one's
Oh, it just
interesting.
became a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's interesting because you can see it was a combo KFC Taco Bell, and now it's just a
Yeah.
KFC, but it's built into the architecture there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've
They have
never
another
seen that
one.
before.
They have a Long John Silver combo too.
I've
But
seen that.
I believe that one is, yeah, I think that one's KFC as well.
So let's talk a little bit about the current state of everything. It seemed like you got in a van, did your big road trip. You don't really post updates as much as you used to about, your life and what's going on. What's going on?
Um, yeah, so when I when we separated, we tried to still do the channel for about a year after that. And it was it had highs and lows, I was going through therapy. And eventually I was like, man, we're not doing really well this year. And I'm like, I think we need to always talk about pivoting and changing. I think we need to pivot and change. I think they kind of know that we're not dating anymore. We had channels calling us out on it. And I'm like, I go, we can't hide. I go, we really can't hide from the internet. Like, they know. And she goes, well, what do you want to do? And I'm just like, I think we should just focus on doing something different because we can't just keep doing this. I go, also, like, you're gonna move on, I'm gonna move on. And she didn't want it. She did not like that at all. She did not want it to end. But I
I,
said,
I
you don't
don't
have to
I
end.
don't want to interrupt you, and I don't mean to be rude. That's all, you've talked about that, you've posted about it, you've made videos, she's made videos. It's neither here nor there. I'm talking about right now. Where are you at with what you're doing? Are you still doing comedy? Are you still playing poker? Are you still in Las
Oh,
Vegas?
yeah.
Like, nobody knows, and it's such an interesting story that you've been through over the last few years that I'm sure people watching would like to know what you're up to.
Yeah, okay. So right now I'm in like a tremendous rebuilding phase where I am taking on a ton of different things that like whatever opportunity I can get. So I've been working full time uh at just this random, it's like a residential commercial contracting company. Is kind of like, you ever seen A Devil Wears Prada? I'm kind of like, I kind of, I don't care if they hear this either, but I feel like I kind of got hired to just be like a glorified assistant to like the boss's wife and just do all of her things and almost just keep her out of his hair and any job that I take on, I'm gonna do the best I can be at, by the way. I don't care what job it is. I always tell everybody, when you get hired and you're working, be useful. Like, that goes farther than being smart. That goes farther than being the smartest guy in the room. Be useful, be helpful. people appreciate that so much. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be useful. If I can also help out in more ways than usefulness, that I will love that too, you know? So I'm doing that. But what I love about that is it's allowing me to, it gave me structure to be able to kind of do what I did last time when I was an engineer. I was able to kind of like have that structure to be able to almost like explore other things that I want to do. So the other things that I've been doing is um, I've been kind of through word of mouth, just getting contracted to do grow other businesses' social medias, do their editing, do other stuff. And it's kind of gotten to the point where I have like too many clients. So I've been starting to like get um I have a lot of resources for editors like, in the Philippines and the Middle East and stuff. They work for a lot less and they are a 12-hour time change, which is actually great because around 8 o'clock at night, it would be 8 in the morning, you got to communicate with them. So I've been working with a lot of clients. Some are other YouTubers that referred me to businesses in Connecticut, and also some. I'm also working downtown Orlando, um, and I am pretty much. They got me as almost the advocate for City Hall to kind of be the ruffle the feathers of City Hall, um, based on downtown Orlando is kind of they're trying to push all the local businesses out with like these high price fees for policing, but they're not getting the policing. So imagine you're paying, let's say you're give a good analogy, you're paying $100 for AT&T internet, and you're only getting 10 megabyte download, but they're promising you 1,000. These businesses are like, well, we can't even afford this. Law enforcement, we're not even getting it. So I'm involved in that project. And then on top of all of that, I've been dabbling in Amazon user generated content. Been finding that to be something I just kind of do just passively. So Amazon sends you samples, you make a video, you keep the sample, and then you get commission. So that was another little side hustle that I've been working on. And now I have a house full of junk. I need to have like a, what do you call it, a estate sale or something, because it's really, believe it or not, this for the viewers out there, it's really easy to get brands to send you samples. TikTok, you can do it. And in fact, I'm almost thinking like it'd be pretty easy for me to just keep growing TikTok channels to like the 5K mark and then just selling them. You know what I mean? Because people buy those channels so they can just become sellers. So I'm doing that on top of everything. And then I play pickleball and I gotta do stand up right now. That's why I had to, there's like a big room around 8:30, 9 o'clock it starts. I'm like, man, it's gonna run into the showtime. Um, so yeah, I did stand up last night, packed room, I've been able to make more doing stand up than I ever would have imagined in my entire life. It's not a lot, by the way, but more than I would ever imagine for a skill for me to just walk on stage with a microphone and talk. Like, to me, you always have to like break down the reality of it when people get upset, like, oh, I could bear, you're not going to make money doing comedy, but if you make any money, that's like, wow, someone paid you, so I think it's a remarkable art to be able to just, if you watch America's Got Talent, and some of these people in pyrotechnics, they need like all sorts of production, tons. Again, I'm like, oh my God, and even your productions cost $100. It's so amazing for you to have no overhead. You know what I mean? Like it's just what an incredible business model that is. No overhead.
Well,
Um,
it takes a lot of time to hone the craft, and that
yeah,
does cost
no,
money,
100%.
you know.
It costs a ton. Yeah, it in a different way. Um, but yeah, so I still do comedy. I'm booked the whole um I'm booked all the way up until like August. You know, it's wild. You just fill your calendar up. And then the other thing that I'm doing is motivational speaking engagements, and those are all outbound. Like I am not getting. I have to really grind to get those. So to get speaking engagements, you really have to like network a lot, and then you have to have several calls for them to trust you and know you. So those are like the big. Those are the big fruit, but the more I get of those, the more you get testimonial and the more you can grow that. And ultimately, that is probably the most fulfilling out of everything I said that I'm doing. And that is probably my preferred ideal end goal would be to travel the nation or even the world and get on stage and just tell people not just my story, because it's not about my story. It's more or less about how we all struggle. Like every one of us are going through the same pain, you know, and I can't sit there and be like, oh, I'm broken up and I'm getting sued. I'm like, everybody's getting broken up and getting sued. Everyone's been through that. Like, you're no different. And how do you relate that to other generations? You know, it's just the same feeling, though. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you were bullied and you left school crying. It's the same hurt. But how do we overcome that and how do we grow from that? And I just want to, you know, I want to just kind of go around and spread any bit of positive light on somebody that's going through like a dark time, like just just dealing with like just mental health in general. I just think that we're not taught in school conflict resolution. I just really wish that was something that we got honed in on at a young age, because people don't know how to, not everyone has the skills to handle conflict. Fight or flight. We both get angry. We both get louder. We don't know how to, peacefully resolve stuff. And honestly, when you're a kid, that's the time that like you really want to develop those skills, because I think the most powerful thing is a person that can stay in control when things get dicey, someone that can not lose control. And I think that's the one thing that we see happen when a fight breaks out or we're out of control, or, and that is just something that, if you could say, like, if you look back 10 years and you say, oh, how have you grown or what are you happy about with yourself? That is one of the things that, like, I'm so proud of myself. I was always disappointed when I would lose my cool, get triggered, say the wrong thing, spend days apologizing. I'm just so happy I'm over that.
Last question, and then let's get you on stage. It seems to me like a postmodern tragedy what ended up happening with healthy junk food, because it seems to me that it began with this other person almost sort of teasing you or mocking you or questioning you for eating so much fast food as opposed to healthy food. And in the end of the day, that person is now basically a spokesperson for those companies trying to convince people to eat that same food. And you are no longer a part of that. I saw a video recently where you went to an Arby's and you were so far removed from that world, you could barely figure out how to order at the Arby's. And, and it was starting to become more foreign to you, something that you had built this career on.
Yeah.
Do you see it from that perspective as well, or do you see it from a different perspective?
I didn't really think about it. That's hilarious though, because that is so funny. You're right. I was like she was such an advocate against it. Now she's the spokesperson. That is hilarious. And
It's very strange for
that's
me to watch. I've tried looking at it. Of course, I'm a very fair and balanced person. I've tried engaging with Julia as well to see, what do you have to say about all of this, and I don't get a response because I think it's very much spokesperson mode and just trying to collect a check, and this is what she can do. And it's just fascinating for me to watch because everybody who's watched the channel knows that this person was sort of against this thing,
yeah, she
initially.
hates that. She hates the food. I can't. I can't even watch. I can't believe I see her eating Arby's thing. I'm like, you hate it. You hate it so much. I go, I mean, I get it. You got to do you. You know what I mean? Do you. But like, you don't like it, especially Burger King. Like, I've been with her for like 10 years. Absolutely hates Burger King. Thinks the meat's disgusting with the flame broil and all. And I'm like, that's the one defining factor I like about it. You can't recreate Burger King. I'm sorry, you can't. I know they've gone downhill. I'm still someone that shows up and gets it. Hates the roast beef, thinks it's like vile. So, I mean, we're not even talking about someone that's just like, it's okay. I don't really. No, it's someone that like legit hates it. So it's just really weird. Um, yeah, she's more of a like ceviche, poke, ahi tuna, sushi. Like you'll see that though. Like any chance you can get, you're gonna see her do more, Asian, Vietnamese. She'll have Vietnamese, Thai, all that stuff. I'm so weird because like I'm the Asian one. I don't like any of that stuff. I was raised Italian, so I like more of like I said, I like British food. She hates British food. Um, but I do think that's the spectrums of food. People are either like the raw or like the real savory and gravies. I like gravies and savory stuff. And she's like, she hates that. She don't like corn either, by the way. So if you ever see her eat corn and say she likes that, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Um, but the but yeah,
It's just
like
the overall idea of somebody who very clearly doesn't like the product they're endorsing that I find amusing. And I was just wondering how much you had considered that.
I don't, what's wild? I don't pay any bother to what she does. I'm
Well, you
just
can't. You
really
can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just doing my own thing. And honestly, like I don't have any animosity. I just want her to leave me alone and I want to move on from it. And and I get it. I'm poking fun at her. I'm making jokes on stage and I freaking love it. I'll be honest with you. And if she had a really good joke against me, I would be like high-fiving her. I think the best thing she did was out me as gay because I'm like, well played, because I'm getting DMs from guys showing me they're like, I'm getting like dick pics and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, you know what, good job, like, you know what I mean, like, I gotta give it to you for that one, because like, this is wild, like, I am. I didn't realize how gay. I didn't realize how a majority of people thought I was gay. That's a fun realization too. When you're like, oh my God, I would say maybe more than 50% thought I was like, that's a powerful number there. And then I got a new one now. A lot of people think I'm autistic. So I'm like, I'm gay, I'm autistic. I'm like, I can be whatever you want. I don't even care. I'm still just going to be mean regardless what happens. But it's always interesting to see what the public opinion thinks of you, based on your actions on camera, based on what you do. None of it bothers me. I lean into everything, no pun intended. But but yeah, if she would I think I think she's just too uptight, man. Just loosen up. I like with everything that's going on, just relax. Like you only live once. Yeah, we broke up, okay? Like, why are you so mad? It's almost unfair how mad you are. People that are mad lost their parents to cancer or a murder or got cheated on or there's so many victims, burn victims, terrorism. I'm like, dude, we ran a channel, we had a falling out. You know what I mean? Like, like just why are you so mad? I'm not mad. I can't be. I can't be. Can't live my life like that. I love I love the band. I love everything. I I'm easy to please. You can take me anywhere. I'll have a good time.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, JP. Thanks for sharing your story with us. And anybody who's interested, I'm going to put all of JP's links in the description of the video. Please follow him. If you're in the Orlando area, come see him do stand-up comedy. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.